do my breathing treatment before I got here, so my throat dry.
Okay, we are up.
They wrote me off and I ain't like that, so I'ma fight that. The bad man, back. Right when you thought that it was safe to relax, you gotta stretch that. The bad man, back. Healers with me for real. They right.
All right, man. It's your boy Big LAC. We on the Big LAC Show. We got Mrs. Babycakes in the building.
Hey.
How about you do me a favor and start from the beginning?
All right. What's up, Black? So, as you guys know, I am Mis Babycakes, and the beginning. Let's see. I guess we can go back about 7 years.
That ain't the beginning. Where you from?
Oh, you mean the beginning?
Yeah.
I'm from Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta. As a kid, I stayed on the west side, like Bolton Road, English Park. And I'm probably like around 6 or 7, we moved to the south side. I have an older brother. My mother and my biological father, they were married and divorced by the time I was even conceived. I was conceived actually after my parents' divorce. My father was bad on drugs, real bad. So just the stories from what my mom telling me, like after they got a divorce, and she pretty much tried to take care of me and my brother on our own, and my dad was out on drugs real bad, and he would like break into the house and like steal our diapers and our video games, and one night my dad came in and actually raped my mom, and that's how I was conceived. This was probably, my brother, I'm pretty sure, was 3 or 4 at the time. And my dad broke in one night and raped my mom, and I am conceived. And many years passed by. I won't even say many years, because, I'm trying to piece together these baby years. Probably by the time I was 3, my mom, my brother, and I lived with our grandparents on Bolton Road. And we stayed there with them for a good time and there was a spurt time where the whole family was there. Like, I have 13 boy cousins, and I can remember my grandmother's house was a 3-bedroom little wooden house. Well, we all was in there, and it was like, but I remember that being like the good times, just as kids, having like all 13 of my boy cousins. It's only 2, and I'm the oldest girl cousin. So just waking up in the morning, fighting over the little bit of milk that's left. Like, it was always, who's gonna be the last one? And if you woke up late, you either got water or orange juice. Thank God it wasn't never me. But I always, them was like literally like times I remembered. And my grandmother would sneak off. We would sneak off on Sundays, and she would take me to Shawnee's. And I knew that none of the cousins would want to go with us, because they'll think, grandma can have you out driving and dragging all day. So we'll tell them we going to the wash house or something. So when none of them go, they never knew that every time me and grandma left, we was going to Shawnee's and just having a whole little ball and just living the good, I can remember that being like one of the happiest times. And my mom met my stepfather. I probably was about 4 at the time, and we were still on the west side. And my stepfather actually, he brought us to the south side. He pretty much gave us a better life. He's from up north, from D.C., And I can remember we used to go out and just spend summers and days out there. And we moved to the South Side probably when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I can remember there being a time period where my biological father would come and go in like different spurts throughout the years, but he wanted my brother. He didn't want me. I can remember my brother left for maybe a year when we moved to the South Side, and he went to go stay with our father. And I could just remember, like, my father wouldn't speak. Like, he would come to the house and drop my brother off, and he just would not talk to me. He wouldn't speak to me, and it was just almost like I wasn't his child. But I guess even then, I had accepted that because for me, my stepfather was my dad because he was just there as, you know, me being a little baby. So it never really bothered me, and I could just remember one day we were at my grandfather's house after we had moved to the South Side. We went to go visit my grandmother, and next thing I knew, my biological father pulled up in the driveway. He dropped my brother off with some bags, and he was gone. And I can remember my brother just crying, and this is my older brother, but I can remember me just being like, "It's okay, like, I'll share my daddy with you. Like, you should have stayed over here with him. Like, you, like," but, you know, and we was kids. So, you know, I can remember it just being heartbreaking. Just watching him drop my brother off, and years went by. We didn't see or hear from him for years. And we moved to the South Side. We, you know, my mom and my stepdad had finally gotten married. And it pretty much like started like a fresh life for me as a kid, you know, because I just didn't really have I really didn't feel like I had my place. Like, we in a house with 14 other boys, and my brother's not here, and, you know, it was just, I guess it felt very misplaced, you know. So my grandmother was like my whole everything, because we had that bond. And I can remember, I'm trying to place dates, but just roll with me. I can remember probably 10 or 11 years old, my mother, I remember going through a hard time, and I always cheerleaded. I was a cheerleader from like Pee-wee all the way up until like middle school, and my brother played football. My mother always kept us in sports, and no matter what, she always kept us busy in extracurricular things and let us do anything that we pretty much knew that we had a passion to do. And I can remember it was a bad year. I can remember my mother's car getting repoed, and my mother never expressed if we didn't have it, because she always made a way to make something happen. But this year in particular, I knew that she was struggling. I knew she was having a hard time. My dad, my stepfather was, you know, I could tell they were in between. Just as a kid, you watch them struggle, and you just kind of watch them with all the bills scattered everywhere, and then the frustration of you wanting to ask them for something and wanting to, like, but not wanting to upset them. Me and my brother, we were totally different. My brother didn't give a damn. My brother was like, "Man, I need these Jordans. I want this woo-woo," because I guess while he was with our biological father, he spoiled my brother to a point to me where I was pretty much brought up on just being grateful and thankful for the things that we had. So I can remember me settling to go to Walmart to get my clothes and Foot Locker, but because my mama knew she had to go to take my brother to the mall, and she wasn't gonna wear all these other. No, my brother knew. So I was, in a way, for my mother, I never wanted to put that stress on her. So I would always let her take my brother shopping first, and then I'd be like, "It's okay, I can go to Walmart, I can get twice as many clothes." You know, I'm thinking longevity. Like, my brother was always like he was just, I wasn't never like that. So it came up time for us to do our sports at school, and I knew for a fact that my mother couldn't afford for my brother to play football and for me to cheerlead. So I remember quitting the cheerleading team. I think it was 7th grade, and I had been cheering my whole life. And I quit the cheerleading team, and I remember crying all night. But when I got home, I remember telling my mama, like, I heard her on the phone, and I didn't realize that she was on the phone with my father. And I walked into the house from school, and I could hear her kind of arguing and fussing on the phone. And in about 5 minutes, I realized that she was on the phone with my daddy. And so it was a phone receiver in the back of the house. And so I was being real sneaky. I went and picked the phone up to kind of just hear what he was saying, because I hadn't heard his voice or anything. For me, I thought he just disappeared. But then I realized, like, my mom just was protecting us in a way from his inconsistencies. So I could hear her on the phone asking him to help her pay for our sports and stuff. And I picked up the phone receiver, and as soon as I picked it up, it was, I don't gotta do nothing for her, you do it. And I heard just the truth of everything. And I remember sliding the phone back down, and I wanted to cry, but I didn't. So I heard my mom slam the phone down. So I can remember I walked into the kitchen, and I act like I didn't know what was going on. I was like, Mom, you okay? She was like, yeah, we just gonna, did you find out when the cheerleading stuff is due? And I was just like, oh, I quit. I was like, I didn't want to do it no more. Like, I really played like I didn't want to do it. I didn't like it no more, and I didn't like the cheerleaders. But I believe I cried for like a week because I felt like I really gave something up. And but I did that only because I genuinely just appreciated my mother just trying, and I don't know, it was just something in me then. And I told my mama, like, I quit, and she was like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine, and I pretty much just kind of lived with that decision just so my mother wouldn't have to stress herself, in a sense of just I don't know. I guess it was just different. I've always been like that, and my brother was misguided. Yes, my stepdad was there, but ever since I was 3, he's always worked 6 days a week, almost 12-hour days, and he still pretty much does till this day. So he was there, but he was more of a provider. So my brother would take advantage, of course, of my mom, and I just seen a lot. And later on that year, after I quit the cheerleading team, so my mom still let my brother do football. I had that much faith in my brother. Like, oh, I know if he keep playing football, he gonna go pro. And like, he was really good, top player in everything he did. This motherfucker quits a half a year later because he literally didn't want to do it no more. And I think that broke me down so hard. Like, I feel like I started to change at a young age because I started learning smaller life lessons just at a young age, and I felt I was pissed. Like, I can remember me and my brother getting into our first fight. My mom and dad were going to work, and when he told me he quit the football team because he just didn't want to do it, it was hot. Oh my God, I can literally remember us boxing. Like, we tore the living room up. I bust his nose, he bust my lip. Like, we fought to the end of, like, to the point where he ended up calling my mama at work. Like, she crazy, come get her, and it went down that day. Like, I can remember. And I always remember that, and I always told myself right then and there to never stop or give up on nothing that I love or want to do off of strength for somebody else. Like, and I did that just so my brother could have the opportunity. But then it was like, damn, I really gave up something that I really, really love to do. And you just ungrateful, like everything. So I let it go. Then I started to kind of venture into do other things in school, volleyball. band. I played the clarinet. Tennis team. I tried track, but then I think track made me realize how lazy I really was. Because I was like, oh, we running for real all day. Track didn't go good for me. So, but I tried a lot of other things. And, let's see. High school. Maybe a couple years later, I can't remember what instant it was, but my mom came to us and she said, do y'all want to talk to your dad? And I'm like, I don't know. This might be weird. Because we still had a good relationship with our grandmother, my biological dad's mom. We used to go over to her house and spend the night, but then when my dad disappeared, my grandmother got really distant, his mom. And it definitely put a wedge in things. And my father used to live with my grandmother. And we would call her all the time. I remember calling my grandmother like, is my daddy home? Oh, no, he not here. And the day my mom came to us and asked if we want to talk to our dad, we're like, yeah. I could see her going through the pages, the white pages, the yellow phone book. And I'm just sitting there watching her like, you're not going to find him in there. I'm like, this man a ghost. You was not going to find this man in no phone book. And I can rolling down and Dennis Slayton. It pops up. And she literally dials. I remember her. She dialed the number and handed us the phone. And he picked up. And I can remember both of my brothers say, hey, Daddy. And the pause on the phone was like, I didn't know if the phone disconnected or not. Like, we could tell that he was like totally surprised. And his first question was like, hey, how y'all get this number? Like, I didn't y'all, mommy found you. And he asked to talk to her. And we stood there for a minute, and I can't remember what conversation was had, but she came back, gave us the phone, and I can remember him inviting us, like, I'm gonna have your mama come bring y'all to meet me. So we excited. We like, okay, cool. Still, mind you, we like, you gonna go to grandma's house? Oh no. It turns out he had left my grandma's house, but he told our grandmother not to tell us that he had left. So she didn't tell us. So we're thinking that my dad said, live with our grandmama, and it was just kind of like heartbreaking, like you was trying to, like, I feel like my grandma played a major part in that as well, like with just fooling us, and my dad just disappearing all these years, and then come to find out, he literally stayed in the next city over. We was in Jonesboro, he in Riverdale. He's literally been 10 minutes away from us for the last several years. And I'm like, this nigga right up the street. Like, as a kid, I'm just like, I can't believe. My mom like, he right up the street. And I'm like, okay. And as a kid, I can remember just the stories my mom telling me how, like, unstable my dad was with the drugs and stuff. And at this time, I believe he had done cleaned up, and he was involved with the church, and he was just a different man from what I remember and painted a picture of, because he was always a come and go. If I did see him, he'll probably give me a toy and then be gone. So I guess as a kid, I was kind of anxious to kind of see, like, how you living now? Like, what type of man are you? And I remember my mom dropped us off and drive this little really cool Monte Carlo, and me and my brother jumped in the back seat, and he's like excited and happy to see us. And it was like, I can remember that being like one of the happiest days as a kid. I didn't care that he didn't, about anything from the past. It was just kind of like, oh, I'm with my daddy. And he's like, I want y'all to come with me so I want you to meet somebody. And I remember going to South Fulton Hospital, and this lady comes out. And he was like, I want y'all to meet my wife. We like, Daddy, you got married? Okay. So this lady come outside. Me get some water really quick. Because listen, even as a kid, you already know when somebody been lying. And I can remember her coming outside and looking in the car, and me and my brother in the back seat. Now, apparently, he told her, like, I'm finna get my kids. She looks in the back seat, and then instantly, I see this discomfort look on her face. And she get in the car and slams the door. And we like, hey. And she was so sweet to us, but I could see the side eye she was cutting at my daddy. And she was like, first thing she asked was, how old are y'all? And my brother was like, 12. And I was like, I'm 10. And like, she cut her eyes at my daddy so hard. And then I realized that, you know, they try to have a conversation on the way home amongst each other, but I'm eavesdropping in the back seat. He never told her how old we were. She thought like maybe we were little kids. So the fact that we was big as hell, like we big kids, like I felt like I literally watched their marriage. I could tell we flipped her world upside down, because she was like, wait a minute, you got two big kids, like you ain't even been involved in their lives, and he literally started this whole new life. Like, we go back to the apartment, and now being an adult, I can understand all of her emotions and everything. I can understand where she was coming from. And we get back to the house, and she started showing us pictures from the wedding, because I said, can I see pictures? Because I was like, I could have been a flower girl, you know, just being a kid. And she was just like, yeah, like, I know, baby. And I can remember looking at the pictures, and they had this huge wedding. It was like a bridal party of like 20, 30 people. It was a huge wedding, and it was kind of like, and I remember in that moment just all my happiness, and I can remember just being so sad. Like, dang, this man really done started a whole life. Like, you just tried to leave us stuck at grandma's house, and just grandma never gave us the number. Like, you was really gonna leave us there. And even though he had kind of started this new life situation thing, I still don't feel like he would have been more involved as he became if it wasn't for my stepmother. And she really became somebody that I kind of confided in a lot. Just, I could say she didn't know who the hell my daddy was when she married him. Like, but she was very loving, and she never slighted us in any way, me or my brother. And she would always make sure he came through, like, whatever the hell we needed. Like, she made sure he didn't miss a birthday, nothing. And she was such a blessing. So it was still kind of hard. And he still kind of kept a better relationship with my brother, but I didn't care, because my stepdaddy, I was like, that's all I need. That's my daddy. And years go by. Before I get out of middle school, I remember going to school one day sick, and I was so sick. My stomach hurt. Like, I was not myself. And I remember looking up into the sky, and the sky was like this funny orange and blue color. And I remember going home from school that day, and right when I got to the house, I passed out, like right outside in the driveway. My dad picked me up. I stood up, like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't feel good. But when I remembered the look on my dad's face when he came to the driveway, and it was this look on his face, something was wrong. And I remember walking into the house, and my mother was on the phone, and she said, I could hear her on the phone with someone. And I heard her say that my grandmother had passed. And I remember I literally blocked it out. Because I remember they were saying that my grandmother had been sick, but they knew how close me and my grandmother were, so nobody really told me how sick she was. Like, they wouldn't let me go into the room. I'm like, why everybody else get to, and they just like, no, you just, you sit tight. And I remember before she passed, she was in Crawford Long Hospital, and we went to go visit her. And we were just talking, and everybody was in the room. The whole family was there, and it was a rainy day. We left, and then when we got downstairs, I said I left my umbrella. My mama told me go run back up and go get the umbrella, and I went to the room, and I'm my grandmama's baby, so I went back and I kissed her and I hugged her a little more. I'm like, I had to sneak some time back in with her, and before I ran out the room, she said, "Wait, come back." And I remember her holding my hands, and she looked me in my face. She said, "No matter what you do, keep the family together." She was like, keep your cousins together, keep them out of trouble, and tell everybody I love them. She was like, "I'm always going to be here." Okay, Grandma, I love you too. My mama, I want to get left. Mama leave me. I got to go. Just being such a little kid, and I give her a kiss. And I just remember her hugging me so tight and kissing me and telling me that she loved me and she going to always be there. And I grabbed the umbrella and I ran off. And we got home. My mother checked the answer machine, and it was the hospital. And the hospital had called and said that my grandmother had just went blind. And Mom was like, "When?" And they were like, probably not even 10 minutes after y'all had checked out and left. And I just sat there and I said, "But I just saw her. She just saw me." So apparently, and I just took that like I was the last one that she actually laid eyes on. And it happened so fast, and I remember being so heartbroken. And they never really told me how sick she was after that. I would try to, "Can I go see Grandmama?" But they would never let me just go. So that day when I got sick and when I fainted, my dad just kind of looked at me. And I didn't for once think. I just knew something was wrong. And I heard my mother say that her mom had passed away. And I totally blanked it out. But I broke. I broke all the way down. And that was a real hard time for me. I think that changed. That pretty much... I became like a different girl after that. That was like my happiness was pretty much gone. And I pretty much became a loner. I didn't want to really sit with the family. I sat in my room a lot. I started to write a lot because I didn't like to talk to a lot of people. So I always write how I felt down in books. And that eventually formed into just poems. And that was my safekeepings. I always excelled in English, ended up being one of my best subjects from high school to college. I aced papers, so writing became one of my strong features in school. And music, marching band pretty much took over at high school. I didn't play my clarinet in marching band. I actually was on the dance team. I was on the flag team actually, and high school, I was always a big girl. So you can only imagine going through school. I was the big girl on the dance team, and it was fun, but it was still it was high. You know how high school is. Listen, I had a lot of friends. I was never I'm not gonna paint this picture oh my God, high school was horrible for me. High school was fun, but it taught me a lot about how just shallow people are, and I guess mentally, even at home, I never got that. I never got that affection from my mother, and I never knew why until she told me. I believe I was in middle school when she told me the truth about my father and everything. And then me and my mother have a very strange relationship. I felt like I held that scorn from what my father did for all those years. And even though she took care of me, she loved me, I still never got hugs. I never got the kisses. I never got the I love yous. It was just almost it was a duty almost. You're not hungry. I could see her trying, but I guess as a kid, you just don't know why your mama don't tell you she loves you. You know, you just don't get it. You don't understand. And then, of course, I could see the mental effect that it could have on her. What happened? You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really hold that against her, but it did affect a lot coming, you know, growing up and just with relationships and friendships, because you just learn a different way to love. So I literally remember just going through high school and me being overweight. My mother hated the fact that I was overweight. Like, at home, it was always, I get my first plate, I was scared to ask for another one. It was like that bad. Like, I can remember my mom making me drink Slim Fast at like 11 years old. Like, it was bad. But I was always active, you know what I'm saying? So, but my biological father's side of the family, like, everybody's big, everybody's overweight. And it was like she despised that, because it was like I literally took after them. My brother was athletic with 6 packs, and you know, he was just active, and here I am, I'm just an overweight little girl. I look just like them. And the weight thing, and I remember it took a toll on me. Like, I was very insecure through school. Even though I had a lot of friends, I did not like, I was just very, I remember wearing a fleece jacket. It was red, but I remember wearing it all the way through summer and wore it every day at school. No matter how hot I wore it, because I literally was scared to show my arms. Because I remember one day being at home, my mama grabbed my hand and she jiggled my little fat like that. And I remember that stuck with me, and I was like so scared. And they really just brought a lot of insecurities with just being overweight. And I was scared to I always wore a jacket. To try to cover my stomach and cover my arms. And that just came with me just not even being comfortable with who I was, because I feel like I got picked on at home all the time. So it was just kind of like, you know, it brought on a lot of insecurities and mental problems. But I never expressed that. I always did a good job of just keeping what was wrong undercover, you know, like I just never expressed it. And high school marching band, I can remember we got I was on the flag team, and 11th grade, I can remember they finally split. It was always one team, a dance team and a flag team. We were always one. But 11th grade, they had decided to split the teams in half. So now we got a dance team and we have a flag team. And of course, I can remember tryouts. Even though I was on the team every year, I can remember going to tryouts for 11th grade year, and the girl that was doing the auditions had automatically told me I couldn't try out for the dance team because I was a big girl. And I was like, well, I don't want to do the flag. And they was like, well, nope, you gotta do the flag because basically you too big to be on the dance team. And I still showed up. I still went and I learned all the dances. And I still partook regardless. I remember doing it. And because I just remembered, I don't care. Like, can anybody tell me what I can't do? And as a big girl, I remember hitting them tumbles. I remember hitting them hands, everything. Every move every skinny girl made, I did it too. And in the end, there were judges. And I actually did make the dance team. But I told her, now I'm going to do the flag. And I don't even know what that was, but it was just, I did it only because they told me I couldn't do it. But I knew I was good at the flag and I didn't mind it. But it kind of gave me a different outlook on just life in general. And even in that moment, I felt like even if I have a problem with myself, I got a problem with the way my body look, you ain't gonna have no problem with it. Like, I'm gonna be the only person that tell me, I'll be the only one that stops me from doing anything that I want or need to do. and marching band, high school, dope times, 11th grade year. 12th grade year was probably like I cut the fool. I was always the good girl, the quiet girl. My mom and dad pretty much ain't had a problem with me. Like, my brother was the troublemaker. I turned up 12th grade year, started skipping school. I remember, like, hanging out, just being a little badass. And, but I always kept my grades up. I became more defiant. I think that's what it was. Like, by 12th grade year, I was like, I don't care, my mama don't love me. My dad always working. Like, I don't care. Like, I think I was smelling and feeling myself 12th grade year. And a lot just kind of came out. Like, I can remember the blow up with my mom happening. She put me out. I went to go stay with my friend and her mama because they kind of knew just the relationship that we had. And that was like kind of getting right out of high school. And ever since then, like, my mama took every goddamn thing she bought me. And that stuck with, like, ever since then, I was like, I'm going to pay for my own stuff. Can't nobody tell me what, like, and I literally got a job. And I remember working. I worked at McDonald's. And I saved up enough money. I worked all summer, and I saved up enough money to basically pay for an apartment in South Georgia when I went to college. I went to Middle Georgia College. So pretty much when I left my mama's house, I technically never really went back. I learned being independent for a long time. So I can remember getting a job. And I saved up enough money working at McDonald's all them years. And I went off to college, Middle Georgia College, and I had an apartment off campus. And I can remember, like, my mama couldn't believe it. Like, the rent was paid because it was cheap then. So I was able to basically pay my rent for a year to stay off campus and still go to school. And that worked out for a good minute. I had a roommate that went bad, of course. Never talked to her again after that, you know. But I could just, yeah, we did. I had my apartment. My roommate ended up leaving. Mind you, I was overweight. I've been overweight my whole life. And that particular day, I remember kind of transitioning from Atlanta to Eastman, Georgia. I was in the country. And my whole family did music. My brother at the time was like rapping, and he was doing shows at the Apache. So it was just kind of something I would ask my mom, like, can we go support my, like girl, you can't get in the club yet, like, you can't even get in. So my brother was always doing music. My family, my cousins, they had a studio in the basement. So it was very family, you know, music was already in the family. So I remember coming home one summer, and my brother was like, hey, I want you to do a track. And he had bought me this beat. And my brother had actually wrote this whole song. And I was like, well, why you gotta write the whole song? You know, it was something about him rapping it to me, and he was trying to teach me the words that he had wrote to it. And like probably 3 bars in, I was like, can I just do that part myself? He was like, but you don't know how to rap? I was like, yeah, I do. I was like, look, give me 2 hours. Let me do it myself, and then you come back. If you don't like it, then we'll do it your way. And it was just something about my brother. Just I don't know what he kind of really saw. He was just really excited one day, like, I want you to record a song. And he came back, and I spit my verse for him, and he was like, oh shit, okay. So then he started taking me to the studio with him. We went to the studio that night. And I never had been in the studio before. I had never recorded nothing before. And probably, like, by the time I finished doing the hook, I knew I was, like, in love. Like, oh, I'm loving this. This is what's up. And the song was actually We Ballin'. My brother wrote that hook. And we basically pretty much and we pretty much did that, and we recorded it. And I remember listening to it over and over and over again, like, oh my God, this how I sound over the radio. And I had to keep doing it. And the fact that I was in school, I couldn't really just focus on it. It was always like something I'm gonna do when I go home. And I remember my homeboy from middle school had his own little company that he called Two Sides Global, and I remember him hearing the song, and then he pretty much got behind me. I can't remember how old we were, but he ordered a bunch of CDs. He had a print machine at home. He took one of my pictures, printed my face on the CDs. Like, we was out there doing stuff for real. Like, I think I was old enough to do shows, and when I would come home, he would sign me up for shows, and that was like my first taste in really like just getting into recording and doing music. And we'll set up in the living room with the studio, and I'll be sitting on the couch just recording little stuff. And we did that for maybe like a year or two. Two Sides Global, Mis Babycakes. I missed all that. My name in high school was Fat Snacks. I'm just going to touch on that. Everybody called me Fat Snacks. That was my name, Fat Snacks. When I went to college, lo and behold, I walk up in there, friends from middle school and high school were there. We went to the same school, and they was like, oh, Fat Snacks. That damn name carried all the way to damn college for some reason. And that goddamn name just stuck. And I can't even remember. I remember they were twins, and they were so sweet to me, and they were very pretty, and they were just like the sweetest girls I ever met. And they heard somebody call me Fat Snacks one day, and they were like, why they calling you Fat Snacks? We don't like that. Like, no, we don't call you Fat Snacks no more. We gonna call you Baby Cakes. And ever since then, that name, and they were like the most popular girls in school, and all they said was one time, like, don't call her Fat Snacks no more. Her name is Baby Cakes. And then I can remember kind of coming out my shell, and that was a good thing. It was a good time. College was a dope time for me because I was able to live my own life outside of my mom, brother. Like, I was actually able to find me as a person, and I remember doing that, and I got sick. All that weight that I had on me pretty much had done drugged me to having a lot of health issues. And even though I was very active and I always did things in school, it was still very unhealthy. So living off of campus, one day I remember I had a party at the apartment. Once everybody left, I remember washing dishes, and the room started to spin. So I got really dizzy, so I just told myself to go lay down. And I remember laying down, and I think I instantly kind of just fell asleep, or maybe I passed out. But when I woke up, the whole pillowcase was wet. And then I look and I see it's blood. So I sit up and I have blood just gushing from my nose. At this point, like, I can't even see straight. And I remember going to the bathroom and I grabbed tissue. I think I probably used like 2 rolls of like brand new tissue. And I'm calling 911. Mind you, I'm in the country. I know for a fact the hospital damn near 30 minutes up the road. So all I remember doing was calling 911. And I can remember I crawled to the front of the apartment to unlock the door. So in case the ambulance came and my butt passed out, I had to unlock the door. And when they came, I can remember I woke back up. I was on the stretcher, and they said that my blood pressure was like 248 over 205. Like I was about to stroke out. And in that moment, I never realized how unhealthy I was, even though I was active and, I just overweight. I think I picked up a lot of weight. The heaviest I got was like 320 pounds. I was heavy. When they say that freshman 10 in college, I went all the way in. Like, I left at 220. By the time I probably, by the time that incident happened, I was creeping on 315. So the weight had pretty much took a whole toll. I can remember them calling me a couple days after I was released from the hospital, and they basically was telling me, like, you are there, you almost died. I had type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, everything possible, I had it. And I remember being so sick from all the medication that I ended up I withdrew from school. I tried to stay. I was at Middle Georgia College for 2 years. My first year there, one of my favorite cousins passed away the day before finals. And I can remember before I left to go to college, he told me to finish school and just to follow my dreams and do my music. He told me, you can do it all. He was like, just don't stop. He like, do it for me. And my cousins, they was in the hood, so he like, graduate, cuz, like, do it for us. And I remember the day before finals, I had got a phone call, and he had died the night before finals, and I flunked out because I mentally could not even get up and go to school. Like, my dad had to drive to the college campus to come get me. And I flunked out, and I just emotionally, because my cousin, he was the next closest person to me from my grandmother. Because outside of all the boys, when we were living in the house, he was the only one that just came and tapped, you okay? You need me to get you some juice from the stove? Like, that was my favorite. So I mentally checked out. And I just remember him and my grandmother being the reasons why I kept going, just from the love they gave me and the promises that I know I made them. My grandmother was sick and she passed away, and she had a hard several years before she died, and that only happened because someone gave her the wrong medication, and it destroyed her kidneys, and it ended up killing her. And that is why I ended up going to college in the medical field. And I made that promise to myself to finish college in the medical field for my grandmother. And my cousin, like, I just remember him telling me not to stop. So the next year I enrolled again, and that's when I ended up getting sick, and I had to flunk. I ended up withdrawing from school so I can come back home and be closer to my mother, because I physically wasn't capable of medications, driving 30 minutes to school, and that medication just took a whole toll on me, and I ended up having to stop life again, like, as far as my education went. So in between that time, that's when I started just working on my music and just working on my craft. And sometime in the meantime, I basically enrolled back in school at Atlanta Tech, and majority of my credits transferred, and I knew that I was still sick, so I wanted to basically do as much as I could, as quick as I could. And I remember being in school. I graduated from the medical assistant program, and I remember that just being a major milestone, because I had so many things happening in life that just kept making me stop, or making me feel like I had to stop or give up. So just even doing that, it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot. And I remember going back again. So then after I got my first certificate medical assistant, I went back again. And my health, it basically took a toll. And then I think it was like 2019, they had just created a new gastric bypass system called the lap band. And the doctors that I was seeing, they basically wanted to experiment on me, because it just came out. They didn't know. And it was a whole medical condition and insurance. paid for it, but it was like a long road, maybe like a year of counseling and just building up to that moment. And I was 19 years old, and they pretty much was like, this is pretty much the only thing that can save your life fast enough for the weight to come off for you to, And I tried everything. I tried every little thing possible, but they was like, it's not coming off fast enough. And I can remember withdrawing from school because I decided to have the surgery. And I'm 19. I was the first and the youngest person in America to have the lap band. And I got that surgery, and that flipped my world like upside down, because it wasn't just the physical change happened faster than the mental. And to be like overweight my whole life, and then to literally like the first 5 months I lost 100 pounds. So it was drastic, and the mental was not there. Like I feel like in a way it pulled me into a deeper spot in a way, because I started getting a different type of love from everybody. Like everybody was just so in love with this skinny me, like especially my mom. Literally after I lost that 100 pounds, after I got that surgery, I remember that being the first time my mama told me she loved me, when I finally had lost a lot of weight. And it was almost like I just took what I could get. It was deep down inside, it was like, damn, like I'm skinny now. And that was the first time I got I love you. And the relationship between me and my mother, like she treated me different in a lot of ways. And not even just my mother, with a lot of people in general. Like when they say, like, I remember people that wouldn't even give me the time of day when I was a big girl, to becoming skinny or just losing weight. Like the love, everything was different. And it was hard for me to accept that, because I'm like, I'm still the same person. I'm still me. But then you watch the shadiness. Like you watch how everybody turn, everybody act different. Or how you just, or I was able to get away with a lot more shit just because of the fact, and then it was a weird situation to go through, but it was definitely eye-opening. And for me, I feel like it was a blessing, because I feel like I was able to live both sides of that world. And like, you would not be surprised. Like, I remember I would get like nasty comments from big girls. Like, I remember working at Macy's, and I'm a consultant. I'm trying to help. You need some. You don't know nothing about nothing I got to wear. And I'm just like, girl, listen. Like, I was bigger than you, and it's just the judgment, period. You know what I'm saying? And I literally go through every day with, you don't know what people done been through. You don't know people's past. Like, you just never know. And I get that judgment every day. Like, I tell people, I ain't look like this my whole life, and it was definitely a mental thing that I had to go through. And it definitely, but it helped. It was definitely a blessing. And I can remember doing magazines. Like, they put me in the paper, and I was doing seminars. Everything was going really, really fast. Like, I was not ready. Like, I'm doing fashion shows. Like, everything just kind of took off because of the surgery that I had gotten. And it had gotten so much, like, little media attention through the hospital. And my surgeon, like, he was just starting when he did my surgery. Like, he's like a top surgeon in North Georgia somewhere now with his own practice. And, like, I got pimped, like, all the way. Like, I got pimped through that whole little process. And but it definitely put me in the realm of business, in a way. Like, I was just like, wait a minute, that is me. I don't know who calling or what they want, but they just gonna have to hold out for a minute. They gonna have to wait for it. And but I remember doing that, and after a while, I had withdrawn from doing like any public things with them because I realized, like, y'all don't even care about my health at this point, because there was a point where the lap band, it's adjustable, and the process for the medical visits would be I'll go in and they would adjust the band by putting saline into the tube. Like, I have a actual device in my stomach. So, like I said, it was totally an experiment. So there was a point in time where it was too tight and I couldn't eat. And I remember telling them, like, help me, it's too tight. You're fine, you just gotta eat slower. Come on, we got this seminar. And I'm like, no, I'm sick. Like, the weight is coming off. Like, I'm sick. I can remember I can remember telling my mom, like, Mom, I don't feel good. And my mom was calling to the hospital trying to tell them, and they were just like, no, she fine. She just eating too. And I remember passing out. And my mom had to rush me to the hospital. Then we got to the hospital and come to find out they did x-rays. It was negligent. I did entirely have too much fluid in the band. It was too tight. I couldn't eat. It was probably smaller than the size of a 3-year-old. And I literally was like on my deathbed because I had been so malnutrition for months. And they totally neglected that because I was like they face of, ooh, like, and they built like this thing off of, me basically getting this surgery done. Like, yes, it did save my life, but it almost took my life. So going through that medically, and then just coming back from that, it gave me a lot of issues with food. Like, everything, I always felt like I just couldn't get ahead. Like, so here I am, and I have to relearn how to eat. And I didn't like to go out with people, everybody, because no one knew that I had this surgery. Like, I basically started meeting everybody in my life at that time that I started meeting didn't know the old me. They didn't know the big girl me. So it was just kind of like all eyes on me, like, oh my God, it take you so long to eat, or like in certain things I couldn't eat. And it just literally, like, I felt like my whole life I had to live alone and mentally and emotionally, because I didn't trust telling people how I felt or what I thought. So I stayed in my own head a lot. And my music was really like my poems. My music was really the only expression of things that I had, because it was mine and paper don't talk back. So that just became my escape. And going through many years and like relationships, and the relationship I was in a long-term relationship at the time when I got the surgery. And that was my first look into having like a toxic relationship with the guy that I was with at the time. His family was amazing. His family was one of the reasons why I was actually able to finish through college. And so we all still have like this, I guess, like, there's always a gratefulness there for them, because they literally played a major part in my life. But that one relationship, I feel like that detrimented just love in general for me. Like, it was toxic. It ended in an abusive end. I was young. I was like 18 or 19 at the moment, and going through that relationship with him, I think I was with him for maybe like 5 years, and that was like my first taste of being in a toxic relationship. I had a bunch of miscarriages, and I was going through those health issues, being overweight. And the minute I got that surgery, I can remember his attitude towards me changing, and it was almost like he felt like his control over me was gone because I wasn't that big girl no more. And it was immediate knockdowns. Oh, ain't nobody gonna want you, no way. Ain't nobody gonna like you. You ain't gonna look like this. You ain't gonna, and I started to learn, like, okay. I started to learn how much power comes with just if you had an insecurity and you allow and you let other people know your weaknesses, they use it against you, and they use it to have that power over you. And that was a very hard time for me coming from, and I was just being a teenager. That it was a lot. Like, we was living together, and it was a whole thing. Like, but after I had the surgery, I lost weight. We ended up breaking up because the coach ordered it. Because the coach ordered it for us to like stay, of course, away. I didn't even understand a love in time like that. I didn't understand it, and I can remember my life pretty much changing after I had the surgery. I moved on. At this time, I was still doing my music. My music was like my main, my main thing at the time. I was doing shows. Babycakes was Babycakes at this moment. Like, I got my CDs and just pretty much learning myself around, going to little open mics around the city. And after I lost that weight, like, things picked up. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, before, when I was a big girl and I was rapping, it wasn't going as so. Like, I had to work 10 times harder just to get me a little studio session. But now, like, everybody got studio sessions. Everybody got beats, you know? So it was, I was just learning a lot just with doing music. And I remember performing at this club called Silver Ice. It was in Morrow. And I performed. I did my Thug Thizzle. Then I had my first big performance at Level 2. I think it was like the Gate then. That was like the South Side. If you ain't perform at the Gate and you ain't perform at J. Paul's, Level 2, like, you ain't perform on the South Side. And I had my first performance there, and I felt so accomplished. And, like, I knew that I wanted to be serious about my music, and I knew that this is where I wanted to be. I loved being on the stage. I love making music. And I knew then, like, I'm going to put my all into it. And then got home. I didn't feel good. Felt a little sick. Boom, I'm pregnant. I'm like, damn it, okay. And mind you, I had several miscarriages, so I just expected it to be another one of them situations, and it wasn't. The doctors didn't want me to have my daughter. They told me, she was going to be disfigured. They told me she was going to be retarded. They told me she probably won't have all her fingers. They just told me something going to be wrong with her. And it was like, you can't have kids. So if you go through with this, you're going to have your special ed kid. Something going to be wrong with her. And I was like, no, screw y'all. Like, I'm going to go through with it. Like, once I made it through, I was like, well, this got to be my blessing from, because I was living wild. Like, I was lit. Parties. Like, I was just living my best life. And I had a lot of people around me. And the day I had my daughter, my life pretty much changed. And she was perfectly healthy. Nothing's wrong with her. Perfect, fingers off, toes. And I knew then, like, can't nobody, never, like, once again, it was like, never make my life decisions based off of how other people are feeling, because you never know what God got in store for you. Like, you never know. So don't ever let nobody deter or try to scare you into nothing. Like, I was willing to take that chance, but then I said, hey, I've had 5 miscarriages up until this point, and God has brought me to the hospital 9 months pregnant with a 20-minute labor and with nothing. So you can't tell me that, God don't have the control over everything. And ever since then, I literally, when they say trust the process, ever since I've had my daughter, I've literally been living off faith and just trusting the process. And I lost my job. I was working at Walmart. I lost my job like a week before Christmas. That was rough. I had just had my daughter, and it was hard for me to try to find a job. I couldn't get a job in what I went to school for. I was struggling to make ends meet, but I remember still being able to pay my car note, still being able to pay my rent, and take care of my child at our apartment. And I was hustling. Like, I don't even remember everything I was doing. I remember I was driving folks around, like whatever I had to do to just get $1 and not have to ask nobody for nothing. I remember just what y'all need up at the crack of dawn. I remember making pillows. They teach you how to make pillows in homemaking 7th grade. I had a sewing machine, so I remember making pillows, and I sold those, and I just came up with all kinds of just interesting little hustle things to get down with. And after about 2 years, I think I was unemployed. It took me like a year, almost a year and a half to find a job. When I had my baby, and I finally landed my dream job working for Emory, doing nursing services, and that was a whole blessing of God again, because I put the application in like 7 months, and this lady said she got to work today, and my application was on her desk. I was like, I don't even remember when I applied, but yes, ma'am, I will be there. And everything pretty much made a turn for the best. But then I knew I was missing something, and I missed doing my music. So my daughter was 2, and I finally decided that I wanted to go back and start doing my music again. But I knew then that this time had to be different. Like, I knew if I was gonna do it, like, I had to do it because I have a child. And anybody got time, bills got to be paid. Like, if I'm really gonna dedicate myself to it, then I knew then, like, okay, let's do it. And after 2 years, I went back in. I just was itching to get back to the studio, and I made Who Want It with Babycakes. And I remember recording that track, and that track gave me so much, everything that I needed. Because I pretty much gave up when I had my daughter. Like, music was the last thing on my mind. But I knew something was missing. And that track gave me so much motivation and everything that I felt like I needed for me, because it was everything different from what I was doing the first go around. It was kind of like I pretty much did what they told me to do the first go around. But then I knew, like, I want to do me this go around. And once I pretty much started doing back music after my daughter turned 2, I pretty much jumped off the porch and hit the ground running from there. And I remember going to 1 million open mics, 6 nights a week. I remember I was at somebody club performing every night. Damn near stayed in the club so damn late trying to perform, waiting on the damn list. I better could get up the next morning and take my ass to work. Like, literally living 2 double lives. It took like a major toll on me, but I understood that you have to follow the process. You got to put your footwork in. Like, for me, it wasn't about, I'm like, damn, if I just had a lot of money, I could just pay my way through. Because I would watch all these artists come in. I been signed the hell up, but I see them throw her an extra $20, $40. they skip right over everybody. So I'm like, damn, everybody that got some motherfucking money is skipping me. Like, but I'm here with the dedication. So I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna wait. And a lot of times it was like, oh, bitch, you the last one performing, the end of the night. And eventually I got tired of that shit. Like, eventually I was like, I'm tired. Because it had been so long. It had maybe like a year and a half. And I had done stomped all over the goddamn, from north side to the south side every night, still signing up. And like, I realized I needed to basically create a platform for myself. Because one thing I watched as I was watching, just kind of watching the people who were already in the game when I came in, I realized for some reason if you got a name of a group or if you have some type of platform, you get treated a little differently. You know, I didn't get that at first, but I got it. So I'm riding one day and I'm like, what can I call my group? And it just went in and out, in and out. And then in 1 second, it came to me at the red light, and I was like, Cake Hustle. I was like, what can I come up with that basically defines me and defines what I'm doing? And I'm like, what are you? I'm like, well, you a hustler. Like, you hustle, you get it. And then I'm like, Cake Hustle. And immediately, it just stuck with me. And for some reason, once I presented and created that Cake Hustle, it elevated Babycakes. Because for some reason, if people ain't gonna do it if it's you, but for some reason, Cake Hustle drew a whole different type of energy and entity, because people now think that, oh, you got this group, you got this team, like you are it's a whole collaboration of people. No, it was just me. But they didn't know that because they just see Cake Hustle Entertainment. And I can remember my best friend coming to do all the shows with me for like that first year. And I created Cake Hustle, and it pretty much solidified me as just an artist, and it was like a foundation almost. And I was able to show a whole different level of, I'm not just out here doing open mics. I'm not just out here. I had to teach myself the business, and I had to become a brand. And I learned that way back then. I'm like, I have to create something that people would want to see or want to be, you know. And Cake Hustle Entertainment was pretty much like a backbone for Babycakes. And I think it just showed strength, and people was calling me Cake Hustle. Like, it was just like, you know, and it kind of just went, and it rolled, and we took off from there. Something about just having Cake Hustle behind me as just like, this is my team, this is my squad. People never know. They think I have a whole team of people working behind me, and I didn't. I got a DM one day from this dude named Juma Smith, and he's like, yo, trying to sell me a goddamn headliner package. I'm new. I didn't know what that was, but for me, I was like, ooh, somebody want me to headline a show. Like, played my ass with it. And I remember going to Juma's house, and I'm like, and I always remember I never wanted to put out, I wanted to be known that I wasn't nothing to play with. I didn't want to, if it costs money, I'm going to pay for it. Like, I didn't like to skip around and play little games like that. So I definitely always wanted to have that type of energy and let it be known, like, to put that energy out, like I ain't play no games. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do your headliner. How much is it? $60. Okay, I'm going to bring it to you. And I can remember scraping up my little $60 to get to Juma house. And something, I can't remember what the hell it was. Juma didn't have no change or something. And I had $57.46. And Juma said, I'd take it. And I gave that nigga $57 and some change at his house. And he gave me a little whack ass hell out of flyer. And I went and performed. It was Young Guap's Takeover. I remember that's when Sativa and me just coming in and just seeing, that was like my introduction to just where the people who was really like doing the music and was putting their time and energy. So it was amazing for me to see, because that was like my first time seeing a actual network like of artists. It was different for me. And I remember performing, and I can remember Juma's face. And after I did that performance, Juma was like, yo, I'm fucking with you. Like, I'm a stick by your side. Like, it was almost like that day we became like he became like more a confidant, a friend, a supporter, and like he really took me under his wing. And Juma introduced me to everybody that I know right now in this whole network. You know, people that I met in the past. Juma was definitely my introduction to this world, and it was definitely a journey. I can remember. Soon as Juma introduced me to his network, I can remember my views going up. I'm getting friend requests, and I'm like, damn, man, like I ain't never even seen this before. Like, and you know, the promotion rang, and me and Juma pretty much believed in me. He believed. I believe. I'm killing my ass that I was then now. Like I was like he knew, he saw the potential. He saw the potential. Definitely supported me on my music. Like when I tell you, he went hard for me. He went all the way hard for me. Like, and he opened up the doors for me to start doing my own shows, because he had plugs at clubs all around the city. So I'm like, so then I was able to take Cake Hustle to another level, because I realized, how much money do you spend on a night when you go out and you buy drinks, you pay to perform, but I had basically built up a platform and a network for so long, and in addition with Juma's, I was able to start doing my own showcases. And I'm like, oh, I could do this. I could throw my own shit and make my own money. Like this is like getting paid for dummies, like, you know. But it gave me a lot of room to just grow. And then I realized it was never about, yes, money's always the root, but for me, people ask me like, what was my goal? I always wanted to get to a level where I was able to put other people on, or get to a level where I was able to help, because I went through that. I know how it is. I know how much money it costs. I know the unfairness, like, and I wanted to be that person who basically could open doors for artists who was like me at the time. And after all these years, I pretty much was able to get to a position where I believe I took the route that I took, because even though people, it's a respect thing. Like, no one can deny just the hard work that I put into it. Like, somebody, you might come in and you might blow a couple $100, but they just gonna look at you like $1. But versus someone who comes in and they have a whole different level of respect because you've been through the bottom. Like, I'm not concerned, because I never let nobody feel like I need them. Like, I'm always gonna handle myself as an asset, because whatever you could do for me, I could do it for myself. And I feel like that's the mindset that I had to pretty much give myself with the music situation, music industry, because I done been through it all and seen it all. And I had to basically create a path for myself to where I felt like above anything else that the industry calls for, consistency will always be key. No matter how much money you got, no matter how dope your song is, consistency is always key. I've seen prettier girls. I've heard people with hotter songs and more money, but they ain't nowhere to be found. They done fell off, came back, and most people expect things to stick with them. It only stick with you because the person sitting next to you don't remember what happened 5 years ago. Like, and people get caught up thinking people owe them something. Don't nobody owe you nothing. Like, and I've literally, from just being a child and coming up, I always learned that my daddy told me, can't nobody take it from you if it's yours. And that stuck with me. And I knew then, I didn't care if, hey, can I woo, woo, woo. I paid for it. I don't give a damn. I paid for it, and if I didn't pay for it, it's collateral is also business. But I never had my hand out, and that I felt like also gave me a sense of respect and stability and what I needed. Cause I don't really care what people say about me, but I know ain't nobody gonna play with me, like because of the sense that I'm not gonna play with my business and. I don't have to do anything with anybody because I don't need anything from anybody. So if I reach out or if I do any type of anything with people, it's always a scratch my back, scratch yours, or I'm doing it because I fuck with you. Like, but I don't need nothing from nobody, and I'll never take nothing from nobody. And I'm always about building. And all these years coming through, you can't build with everybody. Like some people gonna fuck your whole foundation up, like, and you can't. And that really pulled me in a different direction with being so giving and just open with where I'm at right now. And people say whatever they want to say. A lot of people talk, but they talk about Jesus. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I realize that you have to be true to yourself. And everybody ain't worthy to be a part of the blessings and opportunities that you have, because I have so many people that I've had to cut off, and I'm still in process of just going through it. And they always say, pick people wisely, woo, 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 woo. I slick kind of hate when people say that, because I'm in my 30s, and at a certain age, you know right from wrong. You know who to keep around you. Like, at a certain point in your age in your life, you feel like you're set with friends. Like, you don't expect people that are in your life at this point to betray you or to stab you in the back or take from you. But then I realized, like, oh, well, this is the most vulnerable time because you let your guard down. And me having my guard down throughout my whole process of just building as an artist and doing Cake Hustle, I was betrayed a lot. Like, a lot of people took advantage. They used Cake Hustle as an opportunity, but it was my priority. So it's like you just eating off of all the hard work that I done put into everything. And when I needed people, when I needed a team, I'm doing shows by myself. And, most times I go, I didn't have the support like I needed. And then that's when you see, oh, people gonna be here when it's time to pop the bottles or turn up or do the show with the celebrity. And, and I realized I had to take back a lot of just the love and giving, like, everything that I was just so open, because people got so comfortable with, like, oh, Cakes is cool, like, Cakes is gonna do it. But then after a while, you get tired of being taken advantage of. And when you're alone and when you go through a lot of stuff, man, listen, like, it definitely turns you to a whole different person, and you look at life different when you gotta go through shit by yourself. Like, when you got to figure out how to pay this and pay that, and you ain't got no friend next to you, or somebody ain't picking up because they already know you struggling, walking, and I hit a hard time. I hit a very rough patch, and I went through a very, very dark time in my real life. But I never, never, never let that affect Cake Hustle or Baby Cakes. Like, a lot of people would not even know. But this time last year, I was homeless. I didn't have no car. I didn't have nowhere to live. I was walking. Like, I remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to walk 15 miles every day to get to the bus stop. And I walked after work 12 hours. A situation happened. I was subleasing this apartment, and Buddy basically ran off with the money. Ended up getting evicted. He ran off with the last check I had for the first of the month, and my car ended up breaking down, so I couldn't sleep in my car, of course, because my car ended up breaking down. And I remember walking. I walked so much, I walked holes in the bottom of my shoes. And to be going through that in my real life, but then on social media, oh, Baby Cakes is Baby Cakes. People never would have even known. But that was always instilled in me as a child. Like I said, I never showed what I went through. And I always been like that, even as a kid. And that stuck with me even up until last year when I was going through real life shit. And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't have nobody there. Like, it wasn't no friends, it wasn't no this, it wasn't no that. Like, I literally was alone. And then fucking COVID hit. So that made it even worse. So it was just literally a hard time for me. And I basically hustled up and scraped up. I had to start from the bottom up. I saved up enough money. I bought this $1,300 cash Altima. It was raggedy as hell. The window wouldn't go up. I'd be driving down the street, getting rained on 75, and out parking around the corner when I go do shows. So when anybody see we got there, I'm getting out of it. I got to climb out the passenger seat because the door don't work. But it was for me like that humbleness, and me basically building myself from the bottom, from coming from having all these people around me, everybody in my face, everybody that done helped out, and then here I am at the bottom and nobody's here to help me. And I had to bring myself back from all of that and still keep Baby Cakes face a whole straightening. And I was able to do it, and I did it, and even still, consistency played its part, and I still never, not one day went by and I didn't post or I didn't promote anything Baby Cakes. And that's because I trusted and I believed in myself and my brand, and all the hard work and all those nights that I put into all of that. I just knew that whatever might be fucked up in my real life, if I keep this Baby Cake shit together, it's gonna pay off. And I can remember just struggling, and God worked it out though. Like, I stumbled, but I like never folded at all. And I ended up saving up enough money. I finally got an apartment, and basically life started to come back together. And then I realized that in that moment, I realized exactly who I was, and I realized why I went through what I went through. And I realized that God had to remove all them people in my life. And I needed it, because I was at a point mentally where I would put up with a lot of shit. I just basically accept anything from people. And I was so naive to think that I would get the same in return. And it was almost like I was that person that would try to make things work, whether it was friends, family, and I would hold on to relationships that I had with people, and I could never get ahead. Until I paid the fuck attention one day. And then I realized, like, the minute I got all these people away from me, I realized that's when my blessings started to come. Even though it was a hard time, it was a rough time, and I was so alone, and I was disappointed and just really hurt. Like depression was real. I realized that I had to learn to love myself enough to know that I didn't need nobody. Like I always been strong, but I had put so much of me into other people that was my biggest life lesson, was that I never put enough into myself. And then like I gave so much of myself out to people to the point where it was nothing left for me. And I finally was like, fuck it. I mentally became strong. I went through a horrible breakup, and it played out publicly, privately, everything. And that definitely take a toll on you too when you are your own person and then you get into a relationship and basically you become that person. It was a long time where it wasn't baby cakes. It was us, or it was his girl, and that detrimented me personally in a lot of ways, because I always had my own voice. I was always my own person, and I felt like me once again loving too much or putting too much into people, is that I put what I loved on the back burner for somebody else or for another situation. And just going through that hard time where I was homeless and I had to basically rebuild, and I had to really learn who I was as a woman, I realized that you don't need nobody. No matter who's there, no matter how many shows they done went to, no matter how long you done been friends with them, or whatever the case may be, I'm always appreciate and love people that have been there and supported me at whatever times they have. But I know for a fact that when I did need, God was the only one who had me. And I have to just be strong enough to stand by that with people. And a lot of people don't like it. I don't have a lot of them friends. I don't have a lot of them people that I was with before, because they expected me to just still allow and accept whatever. But for me, I have to respect my struggle. I can't let you just come back in my life when you see things is good and gravy, and people gonna try to hold it against you. I was there. When you struggle the way I struggled, you don't give a damn about what nobody else think and how nobody else feel about what you got going on. And I was able to basically build a brand and everything off of just my hard work. And I was doing squad life with my ex, and Jack Trey gave me CakeTalk Live. He basically let me do that show. He gave me my own TV show, and that pretty much opened up the doors for a lot of opportunities, and the blessings have just been nonstop coming. And life is crazy. I basically have been blessed enough and able. I haven't been at work in like a year, and I've been able to live comfortably with Cake Hustle, and it's only a blessing. Like I still to this day just know that the fact that I trusted the process and I had that faith, it was almost like it's happening, because of all of the different platforms and networks that I was able to just put myself in. And the best thing of all is that I get a lot of the blessings because people pretty much respect the fact that I'm consistent. So people, they gon', the people that do fuck with me, they fuck with me. And that's my daughter. That's my daughter calling me. She probably want a snack. But we definitely, it's still not even, it's still surreal to me, honestly. Just the troubles, and I cry every day. Like, I still to this moment. Sometimes happy tears, sometimes bad tears. But to just know that this time last year, like I was walking and I was trying to find a couch to sleep on. And now I'm driving to 2020 and I got a big comfy bed. Like the first thing I got was a bed. Like you take advantage of so much shit. Like to not lay in a bed for a year and 2 months. Like I didn't know what a bed felt like. So, but I still going up and doing cake hustle everything. You know, people don't know. Like when I'm leaving, you know what I'm saying? But even then, still through that whole time, I never took from nobody, and I never had my hand out. So if people are, you know, they questionable about why I am the way that I am, you know, it's for a reason. And I know that I deserve everything that's coming. And I can only just pray that, you know, the people around me, Lord, that's been like that's been my biggest downfall. It's just the people around you. And I feel like that's the most messed up part about just being a loving person or a go-getter. Because so many people want that spotlight, but don't nobody want to work. Don't nobody want to work for it. And I can't even fuck with nobody if they want to take the easy way, because I put that work in from every single day, you know. And I was able to basically learn how to create funds and money, and it's still a struggle, you know what I'm saying? It's still, you know, it's life, but I know for a fact that when you just trust that process and don't worry about what nobody else is saying or doing, trying to deter you to do, like, I literally have to think for myself. And that is all times. My daughter thinks Baby Cakes is like a superhero. Like, she knows the difference, like, between, like, she know, like, oh, mommy has to go do work. Like, this is a brand and it's an empire. Like, I just move different and I take things differently because for me, literally, this is how I'm living. This is how I'm making a living. This is how I'm putting food on the table. So I'm not gonna take nothing I'm doing lightly. But I think I know that I'm humble, and I feel like people take advantage of that too. But regardless, I'm always be like one of the most humble, and I'm always appreciative of everything. And like people think of me on a certain level, but for me, I feel like I'm still holding back. Like, and I feel like I'm my own enemy, and that's because I just was in my head for so long, or I was just doing something for other people. But I'm my own enemy, and it's like now I went from I go by Queen Cakes. Well, you can still call me Mis Babycakes, but my next project that I'm dropping will be under Queen Cakes, and that was just a mental change for me because the growth that I went through, and as an artist and a woman, I needed that. And I feel like Mis Babycakes, I feel like people got so used to seeing me one way, and Queen Cakes is none of that. I'm a whole totally different artist, person, boss, host. I'm totally different from what people knew me as, and that just came from me trusting in myself and just doing what I want to do, trusting the process as always. And we here now, so sheesh, I'm here.
Cakes.
Yes.
You know you talk for an hour and 40 minutes.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm not lying. See, I'm gonna tell you why I let you keep
Let me
talking.
run my mouth.
I'm gonna let you, cause I would, I told you I was gonna stop you about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, this got
My
to be
8
long.
o'clock.
My lipstick
My
gone.
8 o'clock hit me and said he wasn't coming.
The other guy.
Yeah, so I said
That's what I was waiting for.
I said go ahead and keep going.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
There's a few people that hit the chat.
Uh-huh.
Come on in. Come on in.
Oh, we live.
We about to get done.
I'm live.
He hit me in the inbox, calling me. I'm like, I'm in the interview.
Right.
I'm gonna knock them out when you leave.
My bad.
But
It's okay.
Oh, that's cake.
yeah, that's cakes.
Oh, shit.
Trap, can you hush?
It's a real.
Trap,
It's a real.
quiet. Trying to interview. See how family do you?
Oh, Lord. Look, I'm like, who is that? I try.
Trapper John. But I ain't got many questions, man. You talk for an hour and 40 minutes. and
Listen,
you
I've never been
said
able to do that
everything.
before.
But the people in the chat, a lot of people was like, they didn't know that about you.
It's people watching me.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
y'all.
You live. You live right now.
I forgot. You just let me start running my mouth.
Yeah, like I said, you supposed to been done in 30 minutes.
Right, but I listen.
I messed up, though, because I said start from the beginning.
You did, and I told you.
And you went from the beginning.
I told you. You
But-
said the beginning.
But it was interesting.
And I had to wrap it up. It was I subbed a lot of shit, but
Oh,
I wrapped
you didn't
it.
share everything? Jesus. We're going to get you back
I need a
in.
movie or
We're
a
gonna
book.
Get you back in here.
Yeah. I know a lot of people want to know certain things about certain parts, but that's be a whole nother. But I'm pretty much an open book now. Once you become comfortable with yourself and you forgive yourself for things you went through, it becomes a little bit more easier.
True story.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. So I had to forgive myself before I had to worry about forgiving everybody else, you know. So that's where I'm at with it. And that's a long ass time. You had me.
Trap.
I ain't right.
No, I'm about to ask what's the cologne you got on?
Do you smell him?
Yeah.
I'm saying, I didn't know what was going on.
No.
I smell like a pound, nigga, like a pound of
No, Trap.
Oh
No,
my God.
I had just put a blunt out. I'm like, yo, I can't come through here. It smell like a pound.
Yeah.
These the people I deal with.
Right.
These the people I deal with.
Listen.
I'm just saying, Lack might have a church in y'all.
Oh,
Ain't
my
no
God.
telling, so I had to
A
keep it
church.
on straight. You know what I'm saying?
Let me get Cakes out of here and get
It's
Trap
at
in this
me.
chair.
It's at me.
Cakes. Give us all your social media information
Yes.
where people can find you at and all that stuff.
What's up, guys? You guys can follow me. I got a bunch of them. Follow my personal page at Mis Babycakes, MISBABYCAKES 13. Follow Cake Hustle Entertainment. Follow CakeTalk Live. Follow Queen Cake Promo. Also follow Fresh Expressions. I got my own shoe line now. Cake Hustle shoes, 100% original. Make sure you guys follow that. Also check out Atlanta Avenue every Saturday. The hottest web series popping. My single Pop My Shit is out. We're about to drop the official video. My new song with Fabo, and also my song with D-Rock Yin Yang Twins is dropping this summer too. So work, blessings, and everything like that. That's what we eat.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate you coming through.
I appreciate you, lad. I thought you forgot about me.
Hell nah, I didn't forget about you. You know, me and your ex had an issue.
Listen,
And so
there's so many.
I bagged off for a minute.
You did. I had to cut that for you. Finna cost me my cover.
It's the truth, man. Like, I had to pull up on Buddy, and we had a long
Listen, he
talk.
really did. He really did.
Yeah, he
Listen,
talked-
that's
he
a
talking
whole nother
crazy.
day of a whole
Yeah.
nother listen
Yeah,
now.
I
When,
said, hey, let's meet.
well,
And
you
after
can't let
that-
people mess your blessings up,
Yeah,
okay?
after that, I said, all right, let me back up.
Cake got cake for everybody. Cake.
Me and Kate got to work. I mean, we got to
do.
work. We got to do something. We got too many parallels.
Listen, yes,
we gotta work.
that is true.
But I need you to get the hell out my chair.
Listen, you can have this motherfucker. I'm hungry. Listen,
Feed everybody.
I appreciate you coming through, Kate.
I appreciate you, man. I'm finna go eat and drink and all that wonderful stuff, period.
You about to get in this chair.
Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate it.
All right, man, we out here.
We finna all. What you talking about? Nigga, I'm hungry too.
We all finna eat.